difference that I think I'm making by being in Young Leaders is that I am expressing my voices and what I believe in and how I think Croydon and London and the whole world needs to be treated in different cultures.
I do feel represented in terms of community because there's a lot of ethnic minorities in Croydon. In terms of people in power, not really. I feel like we still haven't reached at that level where we have ethnic minorities in power in Croydon.
Being in a young person's group, it makes me feel like my voice has like a meaning to it, and I can actually change stuff in like Croydon communities, because usually like kids' voices, they don't really have a say in like anything that happens in Croydon or how we feel about the change in it. But this group like makes me feel important and my voice is actually heard. Yeah.
Adding on to what Dorcas said, I believe that there should be like not just Young Leaders in Croydon, but like in every borough in like London, maybe not even in London, like in every city in the UK, every little borough.
In terms of the role that partnerships have played, they've been crucial and core to the building of the group, from the original partnership with our youth engagement team from within the council through to the ALSEP lead strategic partners that work with us both on a strategic level but also on a delivery level.
I've got a lot of black friends, a lot of friends from like the Asian community, and I've got most of my family members are Scottish, American, French. So culture is quite important to me. I feel like I've got a lot of opportunities. I play football, I go to a drama class, I play in a band, and I feel like a lot of people don't have the opportunities that I have, so I feel like I'm a bit overrepresented compared to a lot of people. I'd like the government to put more money into the council and to make Croydon a better place.
With the population being so high with young people, I think it's more important for them to be able to champion for other young people and make opportunities and get to those positions where they can talk to people who are the change makers within the borough. So I think it's really important that young people are given the chances to talk out, because they don't need us to be their voice.
Culture to me, it means how like a community kind of builds their own like aesthetic, talk, something like things that they can recognize within each other. In terms of what is considered culture, it is very much just white and British. And especially when we do try to like push through to show different cultures throughout, it's usually met with like negative press. A lot of people have set things up, but like over the years, and many of them have ended up fading away due to just lack of the resources, lack of funding. And instead of us having to like wait on the council to eventually grace us with something for short term, it would be nicer to like be able to say, this group here, they're doing this, so let's support them in that. And this other group, they're doing this, so let's support them in that. And all these groups coming together, eventually helping each other and building like a web, a net together within the community itself to sustain these type of projects instead.
Project Refresh Lincoln is quite a fantastic piece of work that started originally in lockdown. Myself and a few other of my friends and colleagues helped sort of facilitate these workshops with a lot of the local schools and young people in and around Lincoln. And essentially we met them and we spoke to them about their thoughts, their feelings, what sort of stuff like comes to mind. From that, we then created these beautiful art pieces which was scattered all about Lincoln from the top end to the bottom. After we put all the artworks out in the city, we took the young people and the schools round for like a tour. And there was one child, he's only 9 years old, and he had this fantastic quote. And we were a bit sort of unsure as to how he would react to when he saw it, because it was quite a honest perspective on how he sees life. And I remember when I was walking with this group and he saw it, he was like, screamed in ecstasy more than anything. He was really like happy to see it, and he was really excited to know that other people could see it too. And it's just little things like that that prove that the work was worth the time, and that it really did make a difference for him, and probably, and hopefully, more to the point, anybody else that saw it.
I really hope that there's no end of cultural experiences for young people coming up in the future. Because we know that they are passionate about these things. They're passionate about creativity, about the environment, about mental health and relationships, but we're not seeing a lot for them to engage with. Lincoln needs more excitement. I remember in one of the workshops we did, one of the young people in a primary school said that the city's too still and the only thing that moves is the people, and that there needs to be more life brought in to what is an amazing city at its heart, but doesn't really know how to show colour and life and excitement. One of the best experiences that I've had while working with so many incredible young people was another primary school class where one of the students was talking about equality and diversity and how important it was to them that we were more understanding and accepting of the LGBTQ community. And I got talking with them and talking about their own identity as a young gender fluid person. And as a trans person myself, being able to have that conversation with someone who's early on in their journey was super valuable for me. And I really hope that that experience for them as well was something that they could take away and that they could feel seen in times and places where they maybe otherwise don't.
I think what's really interesting when you work with young people is that they don't see arts and culture in the restrictive boxes that we often do as kind of established creatives. So those traditional boxes of art forms, of theatre, dance, music, opera, are often quite blended. And so our work over the years has tried to emulate that. So our shows and our work don't really neatly sit in specific art form boxes. And particularly in the pandemic, where we've not been able to do theatre, we've stayed relevant by focusing on those voices and then finding other ways to amplify and share the stories that we've been hearing. So rather than rigidly sticking to theatre, we've done projects like this, creating public art or digital work to try and share those stories instead of just being stuck inside theatres, which were often closed throughout most of the last 2 years.
In terms of highlights and projects that we've done that really enjoyed and really stood out in terms of like changing the sector and thinking about doing things differently is, first of all, our onboard project. That's a project that's been going on for past 3 or 4 years, where we have been actively recruiting and training and upskilling young people onto the boards of cultural organisations across the region. We've been able to recruit, just under 30 young people onto boards of cultural organisations, and to see the change that can happen when you mobilise organisations to do things differently. We've got Be It, our radical leadership programme, which is taking a cohort of 20 young people across 2 years to really think differently about what do we need to really transform leadership, who needs to be in these conversations, what do you need to be doing, how do we embed care into that, and rest and reflection and collaboration into leadership, and how then do we move the learnings that we've done in this kind of beautiful radical leadership incubator and take that out to the sector in a way that doesn't feel too threatening but makes them move. And then last but not least is our Whose Future billboard campaign, which has been a campaign that we've done every year for the past 3 years. It started in lockdown, and it was a real opportunity to get young people out on the streets to talk about what is important to them.
Strengths and weaknesses of the sector. Strengths, so they get stuff done, right? They actually get stuff done and put a lot of effort into distributing the finances, I guess. I mean, another strength is the fact that Bristol's got this region has got a massive national and international reputation. So it's doing something right. I reckon a weakness is the risk aversion. Yeah. The UK is known for being a pioneer for culture all around the world. Case in point, someone like Jamal Edwards, right? Without him, music wouldn't be what it is now across the entire world. Someone like that got a £20 phone camera. Do you know what I'm saying? And we have Ed Sheeran as a result, right? So we know that people from underrepresented communities can change the world. It just so happens that the people making decisions aren't brave enough to hedge their bets on those communities.
We talk a lot about culture being narrow or exclusive or gate-kept by people who have power and money and resources, and the siloing that happens in buildings and in organisations. But for us, culture and community are so much more than starting to find our ways into these organisations and starting to find our ways into this programming and these bills of shows and these gallery programs and all of those kinds of things. It's beyond that for us, I think, because culture is people and culture is history and culture is community, but it is also it's life. And I think that we have become so accustomed within a capitalist understanding of culture and arts and culture that's led by funding and grants and jobs and commissions, that it's become divorced from people and personhood, and Rising is mobilising to bring people back into the conversation and mobilising towards a world where people can just make those things because it makes them feel good, because beneath that they have a safety net of universal basic income, of better pay, better working conditions, because everything is a workers' rights issue. And we cannot truly enjoy culture, I don't think, and we don't think, if we are not all also free.